Hello, I am Marnie Clark, and I'm a breast cancer coach and a breast cancer survivor. And I am here today with Judy Seeger, who is a very talented naturopath. And she has over 30 years of experience. She had family members with cancer, as well as very many clients in her naturopathic clinic. So she has an extensive history and background with cancer and working with cancer patients. And one of the biggest things that Judy found worked the most effectively for cancer patients was detoxification. And through many years of experience and trial and error, she found the best ways to help a person detox from cancer therapies like chemotherapy and radiation. And she has put her expertise into a program called Chemo Cleanse System. So welcome, Judy. I'm so happy to have you here with me today.
I'm just thoroughly excited about being here to teach your followers everything I know about cancer detox, what works, what doesn't work, all the system and all the details about that. I'm just really excited. You know that I have stopped doing it actually because I just have put in 30 years, but you pulled me out of my little cave to get your people on this. So I'm just for you, Barney, only you, okay?
That's great. Well, I think everybody these days understands the concept and the importance of detoxification and cleansing, but would you please share with us the importance of cancer patients to do the cleansing, especially after they've been through therapies like chemo and radiation?
Yeah, so in the 30 years when I had my clinic, I found that all the people who came in who've had chemo and radiation were having a lot of residual side effects, right? So they were having still the brain fog, they were still having tingling, they were having swellings in their lymph nodes, and they were just told, well, just stay on your tamoxifen, stay on, whatever. And they were frustrated, right? And so I work with them and realized that if we could do some mild detoxing and then go into a little bit deeper detoxing, that the symptoms actually went away. What most people don't know is that if you've had chemo or radiation, doesn't matter how many treatments, doesn't matter if you've had one, doesn't matter if you've had 6 months worth, that it actually stays in your system a long, long time because they're strong. Chemo is very strong. Radiation is very strong. I mean, it's made to zap those cancer cells, but it also zaps the T cells, the immune system, right? So it's very important for them to understand a couple of things. One is that chemo, the side effects of chemo stay for, well, there's no exact number, no studies on this. I'm just telling you from my personal experience, 10 years or more. That's a long time, right? So if you detox, then it gives the body the chance to get rid of it through its natural elimination system. Now, a medical doctor will say, well, you have your typical elimination organs that already deal with this. So it's got its kidneys, your body has the kidneys, colon, skin, lungs, liver. Yes, that's absolutely true. Anatomy and physiology, those are elimination organs that are there to get rid of things. However, what I have seen that when there's chemo and radiation, it has done so much to reside in your system, your elimination channel cannot get rid of it. And which is why the side effects still keep happening. And they might be minor, they might be major. I mean, brain fog, you could live with it, but it could be quite annoying, right? So what I have found is that it stays, and by doing a detox, it actually gets rid of it and things clear up. And people start like, wow, I could think more clearly. That's very common. Or, wow, I have more energy all throughout the day. Or, wow, my bowel movements are better. The bloating has stopped. The swelling has stopped. Or I'm sleeping like a baby now. I had Dr. Shelley Appleton, who had breast cancer, and she had done many, many things. And she had found me in some books that I was in and said, oh, I gotta call Judy to do this detox. It was like her missing piece in her cancer healing journey, right? And she's very smart. She's a chiropractor. She's a trained chiropractor, neuroscientist, super, super smart. But she knew that chemo and radiation had damage and was residing in her system, and she needed to get rid of that because she was tired all the time. She had brain fog. She had all these things, right? So she came to me and We did. We laid out a plan, and we're going to talk about that today, about what that plan was all about. But she was frustrated. But when we did the detox and went through it, she was like, I cannot believe how well I'm sleeping like a baby, 8, 9 hours, which I haven't done for years. My skin is glowing. Oh, that's the exciting thing. When you detox, your skin glow. Who doesn't want glowing skin, right? And your face, everything is like, ooh. So it was really fun to work with her, and she really adhered to the program as much as she could, but not 100%. She did like 80%, and she still got fantastic results. So isn't that cool? It's just a matter of understanding that, number one, the toxins are going to be in you and residing for a number of years. Don't know really how many years, but a long time. And that the detox process not only gets rid of the chemo radiation residue, but what's really cool is when you get rid of it, your T cells get stronger because they don't have to deal with all this toxic crap. And then your immune system goes up. So how cool is that? Once your immune system goes up, the chance of that cancer coming back go down to nil, right? That's exciting. And that's why I love doing detox, because it empowers people to like, oh my goodness, this is the best thing to build up my immune system far above, beyond any supplement, beyond any food. Are those helpful? Yes. But to have a real deep dive detox beats everything hands down.
And I love your passion.
Well, because, you know, like you said, my family, I had many, many family members die, mostly my grandfather, I never met. My family is all immigrants from Hungary, and my grandfather died of lung cancer. So like I skipped out on that. That's hurtful, right? That's disappointing that I didn't meet some of my family members, my uncles, aunts, stomach cancer, stomach cancer, stomach cancer. I'm like, what, you know, so I'm very passionate about it. And then I had an uncle here in the States, Uncle Lou, and I tell the story all the time. He had, again, stomach cancer. They gave him 6 months. And I remember at 12 years old, sitting in the room because I had to take care of him while my mom and my aunt, his wife, had to run errands. And just seeing this guy, you know, he was in so much pain. You know, chemo didn't work, radiation didn't work, and morphine wasn't, and it was so agonizing. Stomach cancer is very painful. You don't hear about it as much anymore, but it definitely was out there back in the day. And he was in so much pain, and he was one of these jovial, happy, taking camera pranks to everybody, and just fun. And then here he was with 6 months to live. And I just remember sitting in the living room and thinking, isn't there somebody that could help this guy? Isn't there something that could be done for him? And I never forgot that feeling. And I said, something's got to change. And that was my path, little did I know, of getting into being a vegetarian against my family's wishes. They thought I was going to die without meat, you know. And I got into, you know, natural stuff, and then went to naturopathic school, right? So that was kind of my journey, having all these family members die and knowing, man, I got something going on in my family. I don't want stomach cancer. I don't want cancer either. So I better change this course. Instead of going this way, let me see what this way has and figure that out. And that's how I came up with the Cancer Detox Program.
Well, I'm really glad you did, because it's a pretty impressive program. And I've noticed that one of the first things that you have people do when they sign up for your program is to put them through a pre-cleanse period of about 3 days. And I'm sure you have some interesting stories about people who didn't bother to do that.
You know my secrets. So when I ran the clinic, I learned a couple of things. One is when I came out of school, naturopathic school, and I was really fortunate to be trained by some of the world's master herbalists, master nutritionists like Dr. Bernard Jensen, got to listen in on Dr. John Christopher. I mean, these people heal things that nobody would believe me if I said it, but I saw it with my own eyes. So like Dr. Jensen healed himself of a car accident, and he ended up in a wheelchair. And when I was studying under him, he said, I'm going to get rid of this wheelchair by the time I'm done with this training. And he did. And I was like, what? He's 84 years old and he got out of the wheelchair? What? And then he threw away the wheelchair and he lived till he was like 91. I was like, holy cow, this stuff works, right? So, I mean, you're trained in this stuff, but then when you actually see it, it's wild. It's like, wow, that's like impressive. And you just don't hear about it because we're not allowed to say a lot of things, unfortunately, right? So when I got out of school, I was trained. When you're doing a detox, you know, you're doing your juicing and you're doing these therapies, but you're supposed to drink 1 cup of olive oil followed by 1 cup of lemon juice. Oh, disgusting. And every time I tried to drink that olive oil, I would just about puke. And every time I drank lemon juice, which I really like lemons, but it was like too acid, I couldn't do it. I tried over and over and over. So that was my issue. I said, I got to find a different way. Then fast forward to my clinic days, I would tell people to do it even because I didn't know any other way. I hadn't found a way yet. This was like 25 years ago already, right? And so when one of my famous patients came in, Debbie, she was an esthetician, came in, she had the classic yellow ring around her mouth, which means liver issues, big time. And because she was an esthetician, her hands were always in chemicals and whatever. So she was tired. She was not feeling well, and she was only in her 40s, and she was really frustrated, and she had cancer in her family, and she was very worried. So I did the lemon juice or olive oil and lemon juice, and then she ended up puking all night long. And I'm like, uh-oh, I made a mistake. I got worried. And so, because she was on a 7-day detox. So then she came back the next day. We did all these different things. She got sick again, was puking all night. After 3 days, I said, Debbie, why do you keep coming back to me? I would have asked for a refund and walked away. She said, because you will find the answer for me. I know it, I feel it. Talk about pressure. I was like, okay, this person trusts me. I better go back to my books and figure this out. So what we did was we modified it. And I learned not so much olive oil, not so much lemon juice, dude. She can't handle it. We have to do slow things for that liver. We need to slow the whole process down. And so when we did that, and I had to experiment with her, so I would reduce it until we found that happy medium where she wasn't puking all night, literally puking all night, right? And I did. So then I had another patient, Dr. Dam, will not give his full name to protect the innocent or the guilty, however way you want to look at it. He didn't listen to me. We did a 7-day cleanse. And by now I'm like, okay, I've done enough patients. I figured out with Debbie, I figured out what these other people do, pre-cleanse, even if it's a 1-day pre-cleanse, right? And of course he didn't listen. Macho man that he was, he's like, no, I'm gonna go out and have my big old fat steak. I'm gonna have my baked potato, and I'm gonna put lots of butter on it, and I'm going to have a ice cream turtle sundae. Those of you guys who know that, it's super, super, super rich. So he came in the next day, did the cleanse, and crying out like a baby. Oh my gosh, you would think he was having a baby. He was having so much pain and cramps and everything else because, again, he didn't listen to me. Because by that time I knew you had to do some kind of pre-cleanse to get ready and get your mindset ready that, hey, you're gonna go 7 days, no food, right? And hey, your body's going to release these toxins. You better get your body ready for that, right? So here's what I learned. Pre-cleanse, which I don't really hear anybody anywhere doing this. And so then there's this big misconception or myth that I call the Herxheimer effect. So Herxheimer effect is where everybody thinks, oh, you're gonna go through a detox, you're going to have a reaction. You're gonna be puking, you're going to have massive headaches, you're going to be weak and pain and flu-like symptoms. And I call BS on that. I just do, because what I've learned is when you go through this pre-cleanse, guess what? Because your mind is ready, because you get your body ready by eating only certain foods, you're still eating, and then you're like getting your whole body in that zone, guess what happens? Like 0 to maybe like 1% of maybe detox effects or Herxheimer, right? So maybe a slight headache. Like I just did one on my friend Debbie, who had cancer 5 years ago. I did a number of videos on her on my Facebook to show people, it's like, look, she's never done a detox. She had chemo 5 years ago, like 15 rounds, which is a lot. And she did exactly what I told her. She did the pre-cleanse, 3 days. She did exactly the types of foods, got her mind in the game, and what happened? Nothing. She got like a minor headache, a little bit of weakness, a little bit of nausea. That was it. And then she did her detox and it was fine, right? So it works. So in my 30 years now, I figured out you can't do these massive detox drinks. They just don't work. The liver is stressed out. People, whether they're on chemo or radiation, are also stressed out from the worry of cancer. And it's so important to make sure that you take that 3-day, preferably 3 days to pre-cleanse before you go into the actual 3-day detox. So I used to do 7 days, full on 7 days, no food, but I'm finding people can't handle that. So I just did 3 days, no food, but 3 days pre-cleanse, a couple days post-cleanse. So it still comes out to 7 days, but not quite so stringent, a little bit easier again on the body, a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more, yeah, I could do this, you know, kind of feeling. And that has worked across the board with everybody.
Well, I was, excuse me, I was really impressed with the flow of everything and how you have people doing very specific things in the morning and very specific things in the afternoon and in the evening. You break it up, give them plenty of time. And it's a very intensive program, but at the same time, it looks very doable. There's nothing scary in it. And so what kind of results have you seen when people go through the 3-day intensive?
Yeah, so on the 3-day intensive, the biggest thing everybody's saying, like you just said, Marnie, is they're all saying it's doable, right? It's not that complicated because I have figured out there's a template, meaning here's how you start out, right? First thing upon rising, you do this. Then when you've done your upon rising drinks and supplements and stretches and whatnot, then the next thing is get things ready for the day. So it's a very organized thing. So people on the 3-day, when they see that there's a actual routine, some of them will rewrite it to make it more, you know, they might think differently than I do and want to make a checklist, whatever. We do have checklists. I do have templates. I have all of that as well. But it's just doable that they could see, oh, every, you know, hour and a half, I have to either drink something or I have to do a little minor therapy. And the therapy could be something so simple as dry skin brushing, hot and cold shower, a detox bath, a coffee enema, simple stuff. It's nothing major, very simple things. I have about 7, 8 therapies people do at home. So first things first, people say, oh, this is doable. And sometimes they're like, well, I'm not sure I could do all of it throughout the day, which is fine. Even if you do 80% of it, you're still going to get results. So the best results that if they just stick with the program in that 3 days, number one, they're definitely going to have more energy. That's without a doubt. So in the beginning, there's a little bit of fatigue as the body's getting rid of the toxins. So for example, I keep referring back to Deb because she was my most recent person that I did the 3-day detox with, who had the breast cancer and 15 rounds of chemo. And she said the first couple of days she was a little bit weak and tired and just not sure what was going on. It wasn't bad, but I said, okay, rest, like really rest. On the 3rd day, she said, I'm drinking so much. I'm like, wow, I'm not even hungry. But she was like worried about the bloating because there was just so much liquid coming in. She says, no problem, just do an extra coffee enema. Oh, okay, so she did the coffee enema. She did a hot and cold shower to stimulate the liver. Bam, gone. It was like that simple, right? So all the tools are given in this. And as people learn, it's like, oh, if I'm bloated, I could do a coffee enema. If I'm having a little pain on my right side where the liver is, oh, I might have to do a little hot and cold to stimulate the liver, or maybe a castor oil pack, right? So none of these are really expensive. They're very, very easy to do. And once you understand the concept, it's just a matter of repeating it. So as a side note on that, very important to understand, one detox is not enough. If you've had any amount of chemo, this is important. If you have any amount of chemo, one round of this program is not enough. So what I recommend is learn it, do it, right? And the first time is always, you know, you're not sure of things and It's a little bit new, but I really recommend it doing like at least 3 to 4 times a year. I, in fact, do a detox 3 to 4 times a year for prevention. And I do a full-on 7-day. I just came off of a 7-day no food detox, feel fantastic, but for prevention. But those who've had chemo, I really, really recommend at least every few months to do a good 3-day detox. And you'll notice different things happening, right? Each detox is a little bit different because it depends on how long you've had chemotherapy or radiation therapy. It depends how your body reacted to it. It depends on how much it's holding on to the toxins, right? All these things are factors, and you don't know. There's no way to measure how much toxins are in your body. There really isn't. There's many, many, many tests out there, but I've tried them all. There's really nothing. You listen to your body, right? So the barometer is if you've got low energy, if you're not sleeping well, if your skin looks like alligator skin, if your tongue is always furry in the morning because it's like got all this stuff coming out on it, if your appetite is low, you know, all these different things mean you got a lot of toxins in you. And so you just keep working it every few months to do the detox so that your body is like, okay, I'm getting rid of it, getting rid of it, getting rid of it. And as it's done, then you're going to start seeing skin gets better, hair gets better, your energy goes up, you sleep better, you know, all these things will get better. Listen to your body. That's the most important thing to see what's working, what's not, right? So a lot of times when I work with my clients, what I used to do is keep a, like an energy calendar or like insomnia calendar. So I would tell them, okay, for the whole 7 days, write down, how do you feel in the morning on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being, I have loads of energy, I'm ready to rock and roll, to, are you kidding? I got to roll out of bed, right? So those are your two, right? So write down like, oh, I'm a 5 or I'm a 4 or I'm, you know, and then as you're going through the detox, continue writing it down. And then after the detox, because then you'll see, oh, I started out like a 4, but now I'm like, hey man, I'm like an 8 or 9. I'm like, I'm feeling the energy going up a little bit, and it might not be sustained, right, until you get all the toxins out, but slowly and surely, what will happen is as you keep track and you see the progress and you feel the progress, you'll be like, this is working, dude. Like, I can't believe that this little 3-day deep dive detox is actually working. Wow, right? And that's what all my clients have said.
And just so people know, you don't recommend any sort of a detox program while a person's going through chemotherapy or radiation. Is that right?
Right, because here's the deal. If you're on a chemo program or radiation program, and all the work of the physician in the program is to say, look, we see that you need 12 rounds. And so they're going to give you a certain amount of drugs for that, right? And so as it comes in the body, it's actually killing your cancer cells and the good cells. We know this. However, if you're going to detox at the same time, what's going to happen is the toxins will be pulled out, and the chemo, the reading for the doctor will be skewed. And he'll be like, wait a minute, typically it's 12 rounds. And this is not working. Like, now we're going to have to give you more. And so they're going to increase it. And they're going to say, well, maybe you need 20 rounds because something's not working, right? So and it's just hard on your system as well. So I don't recommend it. What I do recommend is if you had chemo and radiation, wait 2 weeks and then go do it. Now, that doesn't mean in 2 weeks you're just laying around and saying, oh my gosh, I'm done with chemo and radiation and I'm done. No. In those 2 weeks, it's very, very important that you are doing things to increase your immune system. So maybe drinking more veggie juices, maybe taking more vitamin C, maybe eating more foods that are like your cruciferous vegetables that will help you build up your immune system, right? Like beets and cruciferous and that kind of stuff. So in 2 weeks, I don't ever recommend to just sit around and do, I mean, you could rest for sure, that's fine. But you definitely want to do things to right away, as soon as that chemo radiation is done, get in there and start working on your immune system. Like, but bam, like just, okay, done. Let's get the immune system going up. Because remember, it's going to be about a year or so that your immune system has taken a hit to really rebuild it back up to normal. So it's very important to build that immune system up daily, right? Through foods and supplements and therapies, daily, daily, daily. And then when you're doing the detox, your body has a chance to get rid of the toxins. The immune system will go up, will rise, and then you stop, and then you do it again. Immune, 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 detox, immune, 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 detox, right? That's the pattern for a good solid year. When I did that in my clinic and the people adhere to that, that's where I saw the best results on everybody.
That's fantastic. And, you know, the program itself it speaks for itself, obviously. And the other thing that I really wanted to mention is I was very impressed about the fact that you include an emotional detox section as well, which is really important. A lot of people just ignore that side of things, but, you know, as we all know, mind and body go together. And so if your brain is busy thinking a whole lot of negative thoughts, it's going to undermine the other things that you do. So what led you to putting that piece in as well?
Yeah, so the emotional, mental, spiritual detox. So we could get into this like for hours at a time, but
Yeah,
here's the deal.
briefly.
I know, get it down. Okay, so a lot of physicians in my industry, functional med, naturopaths, haven't talked about it because everybody just wants to do therapies and supplements because that's where the money is. I get it. But I've always talked about the emotional, mental, because when I had my clinic, I saw a lot of people damaged, right? As I was doing the therapy, we'd be talking, and next thing you know, flood of tears are coming out. There's been pain, there's been trauma, there's been abuse. I mean, I heard thousands and thousands of stories of everybody going through something, right? That's why the cancer came into the body. There's something that happens, some kind of stress that happens, something, right? And so as I was working with the people, I'm like, okay, we need to help them as they're going through their cleanse to heal that, right? So I'm not a counselor, don't claim that. But during the detox, what I've learned is spending a lot of downtime, right? Like really just spending time of what is it you need right now? Where are you at? What is your purpose? And it's interesting, when I was in my clinic, I would ask people, so what is your purpose to continue living? Blew them away, absolutely blew them away. And I encourage the viewers and listeners to ask them, so like, what is your purpose? And ultimately, I always came down for family and kids. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But what about for you? As women, especially, we don't take care of ourselves enough. We're always there for everybody else and not taking care of ourselves. So during the detox, what I recommend for the women is a lot of alone time, nature time, journaling, praying, just really doing self-reflection. So again, going back to Deb, she's, I guess, my theme for today, who just did the detox. She said, you know, I had a lot of time to reflect and think about my journey. And you know what she came out of that with after her 3 days? She said, it's time to take care of Debbie. This is Debbie's year, Debbie's self-care. And I was so proud of her. It's like, that's a big thing to say, oh, it's time for, because mother, kids, you know, all these things. So my biggest thing when you're emotionally detoxing is, if you need a cancer coach, like talking to you, Marnie, would be fantastic. Or because sometimes you can't see the blockages. Sometimes you can't see what the issue is. And you need somebody to help you see and reveal what's going on. And when you do that, it's not like you're going to, you know, rip open this wound. It's like, no, you acknowledge it, you see it, you have somebody there holding your hand, holding you accountable as well as you make your way through. But that makes such a huge difference, because as I used to do that in my clinic, the weight would come off these people and like, you know what, I'm going to let this go and I'm going to move on and I am going to take care of myself. And so then we'd make a happy list of all the things that make them happy. So that's really fun, is during the detox is what makes you happy, right? Is it, you know, going kayaking, going for walks, spending time playing with your dog or cat, you know, what is it? And you keep that list so that you are constantly focused on it. It makes a big difference. The happy list is always fun. And so that's the biggest thing, is as women, reflect on what is your purpose, reflect on what is it you need, and then make your happy list, man. I know I sure do. I'm always like, I used to love dancing. I still love dancing, and I can't right now because of what's going on in the world, but that's all right. That's the way it is. Though you dance in the house, right? There's always
Absolutely.
a way.
Absolutely. Very, very powerful information. Thank you, Judy, so much for sharing all of that with us. And I would like to tell everybody who's watching this, if you want to learn more, just go to the link underneath this video and register to find out more. We've been hard at work putting this program together, both of us, and it's extra special. Nobody has anything like this on the market at the moment. There's no detox out there, detox program out there like this one. So don't delay. There's only room for a few interested people who are really motivated and really want to work on this. And so click the link below the video and put in your contact details, and we will send you some more information and some free things. So thanks for staying with us right up till the very end of this, and happy detoxing. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you, Marnie. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you too. Thanks.